I think, well, I know I live in a perpetual state of bewilderment, astonishment, and amazement that my fellow human beings think so little of themselves that they think the only option that they have on the political table and the political spectrum is to vote for the lesser of two evils, even when you point out the fact that both candidates are not only dancing with the devil, they're doing other bad stuff with the devil. They're the devil's henchmen. They've taken a covenant with the devil. I'm so convinced right now that cognitive dissonance is so strong and people have themselves locked so tightly in their echo chambers, and they're so taken by Stockholm syndrome that if they found out that Trump was the devil himself, or Biden was the devil himself, or back when, Obama was running for president, that Obama was the devil himself, they would still vote for it because they would think that their devil was less evil than somebody else's devil. Now, I'm going to make something clear here. I am not and never have been on the internet to gain popularity. If I was, I would have taken a political position. If you're on the right, if you're a Republican, if you're a conservative, especially, I'm not going to go into that, but if you're a conservative, like the Wire or Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro, you are making, or what's that cop's name? Brandon Tatum or Candace Owens, you are making bank. And what do you, Charlie Kirk, TPUSA, just crazy organization, rightist organization. If you're on the right side of the political spectrum, you can gain a wide following and you can get some very deep pockets. Same thing with the left. If you're MSNBC, if you're CNN, if you're Brian Tyler Cohen, if you're the Young Turks who are progressives, if you're any one of those people, you are making bank. If you play in this political game, this game of literally, it's the voting political game that dehumanizes every single participant and reduces them to a meat bag of mush where they're just sitting there going, I got to choose the lesser of two evils. I mean, what else can I do? It's like walking into that restaurant where there's only two things on the menu and feeling like you got to choose one of them, but the only two options you have are poop soup and turd sandwich. Well, the poop soup is far superior nutritionally than the turd sandwich, so I'm definitely going to take the poop soup. What are you freaking talking about? How is it that we've been in the internet age for a solid 2 decades, okay? A solid 2 decades, and people haven't learned by now who's controlling the levers of power in the world? You really don't understand that the Zio International Banking Cartel, operated by the Federal Reserve and called by other names in other countries, that they're the ones who are actually controlling every single puppet on the stage show. You really don't understand that. I don't understand how you don't understand that. Amschel Rothschild encapsulated it well back in the 1800s. Give me control over a nation's money. And I don't give a damn who makes its laws. I don't care who's in Congress. I don't care who the senator is. I don't care if they're Republicans or Democrats or libertarians or progressives. I don't care if they're black or white. I don't care if they're young or old. I don't care if they have dementia or they're articulate. They're in my pocket. I control the purse strings. We're going to watch something right here, but all it takes is for one thing to convince me that somebody is not only not on your side, they're working to bring more tyranny in the land because they themselves are tyrants. So if I only found out, if the only thing I found out about Obama and everything else was right was that he was bought off by the Zio International Banking Cartel under Rothschild's Inc., I'd be like, that's all I need to know. He's already dangling from the string of the banksters. Ain't going to vote for him. He's not going to be on our side. Unfrickin' believable. I'm going to go over some comments from my last video, which I'm serious, guys. I start losing my appetite. My jaw's dropping. I'm absolutely perplexed, outraged, infuriated, surprised, discouraged that my fellow Americans would actually think that there are two choices, which is really one choice. It's not. We don't have a two-party system, haven't had a two-party system. Even if we did, they're both working for the same team owner, but it's a uni-party system masquerading as two parties so that they can keep the slaves. Us slaves on the plantation will be at each other's throats, fighting against ourselves instead of the plantation owner who's going, this is awesome. They're still submitting those stupid ballots in the slave suggestion box. I got them right where I want them. Politics, I constantly say this to where I'm like, Brian, you sound like a freaking broken record, but maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't work. It's the clever and I don't even want to say it anymore. I don't even want to say it anymore. It's an art form. Politics is an art form. Let's say it in a different way. It is a highly deceptive, highly lucrative art form that deceives people, uses euphemisms to lie to people. In other words, instead of saying legalized mass murder, they call it war. And, you know, it's the same thing. You just put a different name on the same thing. It's like calling an apple just, hey, let's call all apples oranges now. Well, it's still an apple. You still know it is an apple, and it's completely different from an orange. But they put these different tags on the same exact thing. So this politician right here is called a Republican. That politician right there is called a Democrat. We even have our little logos, the donkey and the elephant, because they're tapping into, every one of us has a tribal mentality. We're going to rah, 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 zis, boom, bah, yay team. That's why sports are so freaking popular. You know, well, our Eagles are going to the Super Bowl this year. Our Chiefs, man, we won the Super Bowl this year. No, you didn't win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs don't care about you other than tapping into you as a revenue stream. You're not on the team. You don't get to share in the Super Bowl spoils. You're not going to get a ring. You're not going to get a car. You're not going to get a sportsman's bonus. You're not getting any of that stuff. Our team. We went to the Super Bowl. That's what they want. That's my man. That's my man Trump. That's my man Biden. That's my man Obama. I love Ronald Reagan. You know, if there was only, I use a lot of Ronald Reagan quotes. One of them is the 9 most terrifying words in the English language is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And he said a lot of good things. He gave a lot of great speeches that would be in line with liberty. But then what did he do in the 60s when he was governor of California? Told the Black Panthers, you can't have guns. Instituted the first assault weapons ban. Mr. Republican Ronald Reagan. Well, guess who that guy is? He's your mortal enemy. If that's all that was wrong with him. But it's never just one thing. But if it was just one thing, civil asset forfeiture, indemnifying every single cop in the United States above and beyond the qualified immunity that they already have, making that shield of no liability even thicker. Empowering them even more to do criminal acts against you. Civil asset forfeiture, legalized theft and robbery, armed robbery. Listen to this. I was looking for this, and forgive me, I can't remember. I think it was, I can't remember who gave me this clip right here, but this is the clip, one of the clips that I was looking for my last video. I couldn't find it, so I just went ahead and uploaded the video. Listen to what Trump says, and I can't even believe that Kennedy here from Fox Business is saying a lot of the right things, but we're going to see Ron Paul weigh in on civil asset forfeiture. We're going to see our Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, weigh in on what he thinks about civil asset forfeiture. We're going to hear from the Sheriff's Department what they think about civil asset forfeiture. Listen to this.
But first up, Donald Trump has now weighed in on an issue that drives libertarians crazy, civil asset forfeiture. And he did it in a way that seemingly makes the controversial practice part of his administration's policy. Listen to this from a meeting.
That's right. It was Montana Kid. Thank you, Montana Kid, for bringing this clip to me. Very, very appropriate for the conversation that we're having here. Because if there was just one singular problem with Trump, and if it was just, and I'm putting that in quotes, it's a massive thing. If it was just civil asset forfeiture, that's enough to know that Trump is not and will never be and cannot possibly be on your side. At all. I don't care what comes out of his gums.
President had with a group of sheriffs.
We got a state senator in Texas that was talking about introducing legislation to require conviction before we could receive that forfeiture money.
Can you believe that?
And I told him that the cartel would build a monument to him in Mexico if he could get that legislation.
Who's the state senator? Do you want to give his name? will destroy his career.
We are going to listen to that again. Oh, that's great. Listen to what the sheriff says. Listen to the nonsense and the evil that came out of that guy's mouth. Listen to this.
In Texas, it was talking about
Does anybody know who this guy is? Does anybody know who that is? We need to name him.
introducing legislation to require conviction before we can receive that forfeiture money.
Can you believe that?
This senator or this congressman, this politician in Texas is trying to, can you believe he's trying to craft a bill that would require us to actually point to a crime before we can justify taking away people's money or taking away people's property, their house, their car, their cash, seize their bank accounts. Can you believe that? Listen to what Trump says. Listen to it again.
Texas, it was talking about introducing legislation to require conviction before we can receive that forfeiture money.
That he actually wants to require that we have a conviction of an actual crime before we can take their stuff. And then Trump goes, can you believe that?
Forfeiture money.
Can you believe that?
And I told him that the cartel would build a monument to him in Mexico if he could get that legislation.
Who's the state senator? Do you want to give his name? We'll destroy his career.
Yeah, he's saying that. He's saying that and people are laughing, but I think he's serious about it because he wants to destroy careers. Let me show you something. Let me show you something here. Where is it? Here we go. This right here is, I don't know if they were referring specifically to HR 1525, but I did 2 videos on this. I will leave the link in the description because you got to see these videos. This is one of the worst things that I've ever seen cops admit to. But this right here is a law that they were trying to pass, and they're still trying to pass, called HR 1525. It's called the FAIR Act. And what it seeks to do, it doesn't seek to eradicate civil asset forfeiture, but it does seek to dull the claws and remove the fangs from civil asset forfeiture. And Tim Skinner, who's the National Sheriff's Association spokesman for 3,086 sheriffs across the nation, saying you need to vote against this bill that seeks to remove the fangs from civil asset forfeiture. We want full fangs, the sheriff's department is saying, which is over 3,000 sheriffs. They're supposed to be protecting and serving you above and beyond the police departments. They're supposed to be the law of the land. They're supposed to be the ones that are supporting and upholding and defending your right, your unalienable rights. And they are saying we want full fangs and full claws and full power for civil asset forfeiture so we can take away anybody's money we want, anytime we want, without charge, without trial, without due process of law. That is freaking evil. And they're basically saying, and if you come against this, basically what this guy's saying, then the drug cartels, the Mexican drug cartels will applaud. It's utter nonsense. If you're for HR 1525, then you're for the Mexican drug cartels. And that's basically what this sheriff is telling Trump right here. The Mexican drug cartels will build a shrine to you if you come out against civil asset forfeiture. That's how convoluted their thinking is. And you're going to vote for this whack job, Trump? And, you know, I feel like I have to continually qualify and add to that. And you're going to vote for the whack job Biden? Biden's a whack job. Trump's a whack job. Nikki Haley's a whack job. Whoever's going to be running against Biden's a whack job. Ron DeSantis is Israel first whack job, just like Trump is an Israel first whack job, just like Biden's an Israel first whack job. All 3 of those whack jobs I just mentioned would call themselves I don't even know what I can say on this live stream. It starts with the ZIONISTS's. That's what they call themselves. If you are that, you are decidedly anti-American. Remember the USS Liberty. If you don't know what that's about, look it up. But I want to show you the reaction of Kennedy from Fox Business, which was a logical and reasonable reaction. I still call it faux news, but it doesn't mean that they won't drop the truth every now and then. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Listen to her. She's basically objecting to civil asset forfeiture. You got to be kidding me.
destroy his career. So, President Trump may have been joking about ruining the career of a Texas state lawmaker, but it is clear that he agreed with the sheriff that it should be okay for the government to seize the cash and property of somebody who's only suspected of a crime, not someone who's been convicted. Now,
No. You don't even need suspect. All you have to do is see a large amount of cash or something you don't think is right. You don't even have to put down in your report that you suspect that somebody's committed a crime. There's no charge, no trial, no due process of law. You don't even have to suspect that there's a crime. And if you want to bolster your justification, then run the drug dog around to the 90 to 95% of American currency that will test positive for drugs anyway. They're going to take away your livelihood. And there are plenty of examples of that. She reads out a figure that it's $6-something billion a year collected annually by federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. And now it's up to $14.1 billion. She's going to say $6 billion. It's $14.1 billion that are further extracted for the American tax cattle who were not even declared guilty, who are not even charged with a crime. They just take your money.
now there may be no better example of big government gone crazy. Let's see what Dr. Ron Paul has to think of all this. He's the host of the Ron Paul Liberty Report, as well as a former congressman and presidential candidate. So, Dr. Paul, this is coming from some sheriffs in your neck of the woods. The Rockwall County Sheriff Harold Evenson basically calling out this Texas state lawmaker who wanted to put an end to civil asset forfeiture. What do you think about all this?
Well, I think he's endorsing theft. That's what they're doing. They're stealing stuff. They have no right to come because somebody is a suspect and they happen to stop some automobile because they have some cash in the car. They can take their money and then that person has to try to recoup it and get it, or if there's drugs in the car or for whatever. I mean, it is the worst thing that can be done is civil asset forfeiture. It's all this bizarre, out-of-control war on drugs, and unfortunately, we haven't had much hint that the new administration is going to help us out there to come around to a sensible approach to the war on drugs.
And now this was in 2017. When he's saying new administration, we were talking about the Trump administration. Again, guys, I am not here for a popularity contest. If I was, I would have picked a side. Actually, you know what? I have picked a side. It's the side of right. And we're going to talk about a couple of these comments that were under the last video. And one of them is constantly, well, what's your solution? If you don't vote, you have no right to complain. It's nonsense. So if you vote and your guy does corrupt things, which he will do because they always do 100% of the time, how do you have the right to complain? You voted the guy in office. You voted for the guy who's going to increase the national debt. You voted for the guy who's for red flag laws. You voted for the guy who's anti-Second Amendment. Before you even went to the voting booth, I made you aware, or somebody made you aware, that these people are anti your liberties. They're anti-rights, and you voted for them anyway. And you're going to sit there and tell the people who chose to do the right thing and not vote for evil that they have no right to complain? We live on the set of Idiocracy and the Twilight Zone. It's like what we see right now is if Twilight Zone and Idiocracy had a baby.
Getting rid of most of it. And yet we were hopeful that Obama would be better, but he wasn't a lot better until at the end when he did do some pardons on it. But unfortunately, it's ingrained. I can't understand why the politicians feel so obsessed that that's the only way they can stay popular is being tough on the war on drugs.
Yeah, and it came up a little bit during Jeff Sessions' confirmation hearings. But unfortunately, the future Attorney General is not very good at all, not only on the war on drugs, specifically on civil asset forfeiture. I don't think they grilled him enough on that. But actually, 84% of Americans oppose the taking of money and property before conviction.
I don't care if 99.9% of Americans oppose it. I don't care if 0.001% oppose it. It is wrong. My rights are not up for a popularity contest. My rights are not up for majority vote and majority rule. Are yours? My rights never get to go on the chopping block. And that's what civil asset forfeiture is. That's what red flag laws are. That's what the devaluing of the dollar and national debt is. It's the removal of your rights. It's the removal of your freedom. It's the removal of the wealth that you worked for. Because laws, regulations, rules. When are we going to get pissed about this and actually do something about it? And one of the best things you can do is, number one, call it out. And one of the biggest things you can do is not participate in it. Stop voting for the chains of your own oppression. Stop telling the political parasites that you're going to play their game and you're going to vote for one of their evil henchmen.
Because you are not guilty of any crime, but you essentially have to pay to get all of your stuff back and your money back. And there is absolutely no
sweating here. This sucks, man. It sucks that people have the mentality of, Brian, you're just a Biden bootlicker. Because I pointed out truths against Trump. How come you never say anything about Biden, which is under my pinned comment, something to that effect? Guys, do you realize how long I've been on the internet? I've been on the internet since 2013, 2014. And from day one, I've called out Republicans, Democrats. I've called out Gary Johnson. I've called out Marianne Williamson. Why? Because they are banker pawns speaking banker words to enslave the Americans that they're saying they're going to set free. To me, I'm not here for subscribers. I am here for the truth. If people want to follow me after that, hey, that's fine. That's good. I appreciate it. But I'm not going to lower the standard because it makes people uncomfortable that I'm talking about politics. That's another thing we're going to get into. You're bringing in politics on a police accountability channel. That's so riddled with ironies, that statement. I wonder if people have lost the ability to think. What have you done? What have you done to your mind? Have you parked yourself in front of CNN and MSLSD because they always be tripping and faux news for so long that your brain has become gelatinized? What have you done to yourself? Have you so believed what Hollyweird has said and you listen to the propaganda and the talking points so much and it's become so ingrained in you that you've lost your humanity? What is going on here?
no due process there.
Yeah, and I think that people aren't aware of this. I'm delighted that you're talking about it because a lot of people just don't realize what's going on. But it's a basic right that you are punished and you have to pay the fine and they take your stuff and you might be totally innocent. I mean, that is just so bizarre and so un-American. It's such a shame that the president jumped on the bandwagon there and became rather sharp there. But that's the way it is. But I think it comes from this basic assumption, which is deeply in opposition to the libertarian principle, that we ought to tell people what they should put into their minds and their bodies and what they eat and they drink, because we need somebody to take care of us, and that's where it is from. A lot of people get tempted to say, well, drugs are different, they're dangerous. Yeah, but overeating is dangerous too, but we don't want the government telling us how much sugar we're supposed to have each day, and yet there's been authoritarians that try to do that as well.
Thoughts on Bernie Sanders? You got to pay your fair share. Bernie Sanders, who wants to usher in communism, and he wants to take control of we're only going to do it so we can tax the top 1% of the 1%. Go to hell. Go to hell, Bernie.
I mean, it seems...
Nobody's talking about... I'll get to this in a second.
As though we're clearly headed down that path, especially if we go toward single-payer insurance option. But, I don't want to get distracted from this because I do think it's incredibly important, and I hope there are some liberty-minded people within...
Bernie's anti-gun, guys. Bernie is pro-criminalize everybody who holds an AR-15 or an AK-47 or high-capacity magazines. Make sure there's a waiting list. I love Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, anti-gun. Joe Biden, anti-gun. Oh no, I'm just for common sense gun. Common sense gun regulations equals infringement. In case you haven't checked, any law, rule, regulation, or ordinance placed against shall not be infringed is, by definition, an infringement. If anybody is for criminalizing me because I carry a firearm that some madman took into a school and started offing a bunch of little people, and they're going to criminalize me for what somebody else did. That is a tyrant. That is somebody who doesn't care about my rights. That is somebody who hates me and my family and you. And then they're going to create a law that's going to cost more money to fund, because that's what laws do. They do two things. They transfer wealth and they transfer power, because they transfer power because they take away your wealth, and they they take power because they take away your rights, and they transfer wealth because it costs money to enforce that law in every aspect of that law. Trump is not anti-gun. I like take the guns. I don't know, Mike. I like take the guns first, due process second. That's anti-gun. That's anti-Second Amendment. But we're going to institute bump stock bans. That's anti-Second Amendment and criminalizing hundreds of thousands of Americans. Oh, we're going to institute red flag laws. That means somebody could call because they're freaked out about you carrying a firearm, because they're so fragile in their minds that they believe that you're a danger to yourself and and to others, and they're going to call a SWAT team in on you and take all your firearms. If you're for red flag laws like Trump is, you're anti-gun. If you're for bump stock bans, then you're anti-gun, just like Trump is. If you're for, I like take the guns first, due process second. Hey, remove the no charge, trial, due process of law, nothing like that. Just take their guns. You are anti-gun. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many NRA meetings you go to. By the way, did you know NRA is anti-gun? Did you know the National Rifle Association is anti-Second Amendment? Can you prove that? Put your money where you're. Show me the receipts, Brian. Do you know why the NICS instant background check? I call it the NICS instant infringement check, because that's what it is. It's a violation of the Second Amendment for you to stand before the courts of government and say, can I please have a gun here? I'm going to fill out my form. Could you please give me permission to own a gun? The NICS instant background check system only exists because of the NRA. Wayne LaPierre said, we made a law, we got it passed, and because of the NRA, we have the NICS instant background check system. Therefore, the NRA is decidedly anti-Second Amendment. You're either for the Second Amendment or you're against it. You're either for shall not be infringed or you're for infringement. There's no in between on there. I don't give the NRA any slack. The gun owners of America, I haven't seen them go against the Second Amendment one iota. NRA is absolutely against your Second Amendment rights. They're there to erode it under the cover of supporting it. And that's more insidious to me than just coming out and saying, hey, we want to take your guns.
In the administration who have the president here at some point and explain to him how wrong this really is, and how it truly violates the Constitution on so many levels. And the federal government in 2014, which is the last year for which we have statistics, seized $5 billion in cash and property from people suspected of crimes. And when I say suspected, there was a Burmese Christian band that had all of their stuff taken because the arresting officer didn't like the answer that the driver gave when he was questioning him when the band was pulled over.
You know, if you're rewarded for something, and that is taking somebody's property, and these police departments are rewarded, they get to keep the equipment and they keep the money. Here they either sell the equipment and get the money. It's off the books. And I cannot guarantee you, out of those billions of dollars of stuff they take, that there's probably a fair amount of corruption there. There's no real audits of this stuff either. Yeah. So the principle is wrong dealing with the person they took it from, but then as it's extended, and they thought, well, we need to finance, we don't have enough equipment. They go out and buy tanks and all these other things to further advance their SWAT team approach when they decide, well, they might be smoking marijuana. We better go in there armed because these people are dangerous. Oh, so man. It is terrible that we have given up so easily on the basic principles of liberty and allowing people to make personal choices for themselves.
Well, as long as you're on the front lines, that'll never happen. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul.
Well, it is happening with him, and the mainstream media hated that guy, hated Ron Paul, and they wanted to lie about him, and they didn't want to give him a platform. And when he was in second place, they didn't even put him on the list, and the list goes on. Here, some people are objecting to what I said about the NICS instant background system and the creation of it. So let me just let you hear it straight from Wayne LaPierre's mouth. This is Wayne LaPierre. He's the president of the National Rifle Association, that organization that says that they are for, not against, the Second Amendment, but they are decidedly against the Second Amendment if they are for 1 nanoparticle of infringement. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. Listen to CEO for the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, stick his big fat foot in his mouth. I got no love for any of these people.
But when it comes to a background check system that's missing the names of millions of prohibited people, the politicians don't want to fix it. The best kept secret is that the National Instant Check System wouldn't exist at all if it weren't for the NRA.
There you go, in writing and verbalized. The National Instant Check System, that's the NICS system, wouldn't exist at all if it weren't for the NRA. In other words, because of the NRA, we have the NICS Instant Infringement Check System. And that, people are going, well, what's wrong with background checks? We don't want criminals owning guns. So what do you propose as the answer? Go to the criminal government and beg them to look into your background and verify that you aren't a criminal so that they can give you the seal of approval and the blessing that you can now have something that you had the right to have in the first place without going through a background check? That's called an infringement. If you have to wait 1 second, if it's going to cost you 1 penny to get a license, if you have to wait for a license, you have just entered the land of infringement. And that's what a background check system is. Then how are you going to stop criminals from having guns, Brian? Well, laws don't do it, obviously. Oh my God, we have 50,000 gun laws on the books and criminals are still killing people. We even have laws on the books that say murder is wrong and you're going to go to prison, but people keep murdering each other. What's the solution? Maybe we need to throw more laws at it. Maybe we need to sprinkle some more legislative pixie dust and maybe something to throw things against the wall and maybe it'll stick this time. I'm done playing footsie. I mean, it's time to stop being Mr. Nice Guy and just give people the bitter pill of the truth. Now, I get it. Being diplomatic and being nice goes a long way because you can drop some unnecessary barriers. But my God, when people do not even just look, it's like, do you understand that any background check is an infringement on your natural right to keep and bear arms that's not supposed to be infringed? You got no right to infringe on somebody else's right to keep and bear arms. And that's exactly what the national background check system is. It's the government saying, wait a second. We know you have a right to keep and bear arms, but you have to bow down to us, fill out our form and beg us for permission. And we might grant it to you. That should piss any freedom loving American off. And if it doesn't, then you better check for a pulse. Let's listen to the rest of this.
It's true. Back in the 90s, President Clinton forced passage of a mandatory waiting period on every handgun purchased in America. Not a background check, a wait. But NRA said as soon as the technology was available, their wait had to be replaced by an instant background check done by the dealer at the point of sale.
So it's like, hey, it wasn't enough for the National Rifle Association to have just a wait. When the technology became available, we want to make sure that we create a gate for your wait. And that gate is now you got to wait. You got to submit to the government. Can we please have a firearm, Mr. Government? All right, I'll think about it. Give me your form. Oh, you got in trouble when you were 18? Oh, you were a little rowdy guy when you were 18 up there, huh? Now you can't have a firearm. And you have these single mothers in these really, really bad areas thinking that they have to go to the government to beg for permission to do something they got a natural right to do anyway. And doesn't it infuriate you that some of those women waiting for those firearms approvals don't make it through the night, or their children don't make it through the night because they got, transgressed upon by the villains in their neighborhood, and she didn't have anything to defend herself because she was trying to seek a firearm by legal means? You punk, Wayne LaPierre, you punk.
NRA supported it, NRA got the votes, and NRA got it passed. We demanded an honest system.
So NRA, they hammered it out, they got it passed. So let me just address some of these things. First, before we get to some of the comments that were under the last video, which it makes me sad. Yeah, go ahead and unsubscribe if you want to. But what you're telling me when I'm giving, look at that, 666 subscriber or watchers right now. 666. How do I always look up and see that 666 number? What's going on? What's in the cards for old Bry here? What are we doing here? Don't forget to hit the like button if you like this content. 666 watching. You are the devil, Brian. I love it. Says Dark Matter. Something you have got to understand, something that I have got to understand is we don't live in a country. We live in a corporation by their own words. This is 28 USC, US Code 3002. I'm going to hike on down here to 15A, and I want you to read what it says. United States, we need to define that. USC, 28 USC 3002 15A defines the United States as a federal corporation. That means every employee who works for the corporation is a corporate employee. They are not an oath keeper. They are inherently oath breakers. They don't care about your rights. They care about the profits and the power of the corporation, the federal corporation called the United States. So let's get that straight right now. According to them, this is a corporation, not a country. They can call it country all they want to, but they're just embroiling themselves in duplicity and euphemisms and lies and emotionalism and fear mongering so that they can dupe average people like you and me to accept and even demand the chains of our own enslavement, because it's not enough for them to accept, for you to accept you're in chains. They want you to demand, please government, lay some chains on me. Please, government, ban the AR-15, the AK-47, high-capacity magazines. Make sure that there's limited magazines. Make sure you put taxes on ammo so they can't even get it. Becomes so expensive. All of that is just people wanting and demanding the chains of their own oppression. Let me read some of these here. It's kind of depressing. Annam5599 says, okay, Brian, one of the reasons I watch and have subscribed to your channel for a long time is you're usually spot on in government BS. If you're going to start being political and start on the front runners of an election, I'm going to have to drop out. I'm a firm believer in all government is bad, but Trump, who's a part of government, Mr. Red Flag Law, I like take the guns first, due process second, isn't a politician. Trump's not a politician. How many times have you heard Trump's not a politician, he's a businessman? Do you realize those are the words of people who are cemented, solidly cemented? I mean, the cement is cured in their cognitive dissonance. Trump's not a politician, he's a businessman. Boy, he sure does act like a politician to me. He does nothing but lie. He does nothing but pass laws that benefit Congress and the Federal Reserve and the military industrial complex, and gives power to the police department and civil asset forfeiture and for drug laws and on and on and on and on, which isn't a war on drugs, it's a war on people. I'm going to have to drop out. I'm a firm believer in all government is bad, but Trump isn't a politician. Trump is different now. Now, Trump is different. Yeah, he's the friend of Kissinger. How different is he? Kissinger has courted the favor of how many presidents? 6 presidents in his lifetime, starting with did it start with JFK or did it start with Ford or Nixon? I don't know. But way back when, in the 70s, Kissinger was around, whispering warmongering things into presidential ears. He's a businessman. As a politician, he sucks, but we need a businessman to run this country. I stopped this video, that's the last video that I did, within the first minute because I don't want to unsubscribe. No, you don't want to hear the truth. Go ahead, Anum, unsubscribe from me. It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, if I was trying to win a popularity contest, I would not be putting out videos like this because people don't like to hear it. Why don't they like to hear it? Because of indoctrination and propaganda. Truth has become treason in this empire of lies. And that's what we're in, an empire of lies. Truth is the new hate speech. Truth is the first casualty in any war, including this perpetual, incessant information war. That'll never stop, by the way. I don't want to subscribe. I realize you probably don't care. Well, I kind of do. Because what you're saying is, I don't give a damn about the truth. I'm going to go somewhere else and have somebody else tickle my ears and tell me what I want to hear about Trump. Come on. What does that say about you? I really don't want you to quit. I do care. I'm not going to say, I would be lying if I said, no, I don't want 1 million subscribers. I want 1 million. I want 10 million. I want 20 million subscribers. You know why? Because that's going to make the message that I preach more popular among the masses. And if it's one thing we need the truth, the message of the truth and liberty and individual rights and stand firm and shall not be infringed. We need more people to be exposed to that. So while I'm not here to get subscribers or retain subscribers, I would not deny a massive subscriber base, because that means I would extend my reach. You know, I like what James Freeman said one time. He's like, people are like, oh man, you're just putting this stuff out for clickbait. You're just trying to do this for views. Yeah, that's why we're on social media. I want to bring exposure to my message. You don't, like, I'm not typing on Twitter so that I sure hope nobody sees me. I'm not making videos so I hope I only get 5 views. I want to get a lot of views. Why? So that I can make bank rolls of money and I can drive a Rolls Royce and live in a nice big castle. I don't care. I'm going to die. I have a very short life to live. And in my life, on my tombstone, I just want it to say something to the effect of, and I'm just spitballing here, he gave the truth his best shot. He tried to expose people to as much truth and expose the lies as much as he could in the time he had left. I don't know, but have you ever been to an estate sale? They're quite depressing. They're interesting, but they're quite depressing. I mean, seeing all this, it's almost like walking, especially when it's an elderly home. Like they've lived in that same house for the last 65 years. The man died and the woman died, or they died at the same time or whatever. And they left all their stuff. And now there's hundreds of people going through their house, hundreds of people that they never knew in their lifetimes, going through stuff that they took a lifetime to accumulate. Do you think I care if somebody's going through my house? Oh man, he had a really nice this or a really nice that. Look at the vase. Look at the beautiful paintings on the wall. He had such great taste. You know what I want them to say if they could, if they knew who I was? This guy did all that he could to help as many people as possible release the shackles of their slavery so they could live an actual free life. So they could keep 100% of all their laboring energies, so that they could spend time with their kids and not have to be at 2 or 3 jobs to pay the electric bill and never see their kids. I want people to say, yeah, he was a good father. He taught his kids the right way, the correct path, to be lights in a dark world. He treated his significant other in a respectful manner. He loved Trish with all of his heart. He cared about his audience enough to tell them the truth, regardless of anybody subscribed to him or not. So when I see somebody go, yeah, I only went a minute into this video because I don't want to subscribe. No, that's not it. You don't want to hear the truth. And you don't want the apple cart of Trump worship, for lack of a better word, to be overturned. I realize you probably don't care. Well, that's not true. I do. I care and I don't care. Like, you know, there's 2 dogs fighting inside of me on that. I also don't believe in the sov sit crap, but I can overlook that. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm not a sovereign citizen. You know who is though? Cops. Cops are sovereign citizens. How do we know? Because a sovereign citizen is somebody who lives above a certain law of the land. I can't live above a law of the land, because if I do that, then men with guns come and they take me away to a cage. Now, cops, on the other hand, not only can they live against their laws, they can live against a moral code, and they can off somebody like Daniel Shaver, who's doing absolutely nothing wrong, who is absolutely innocent, and they can be acquitted. Or they can be a Matt Schaefer, what's his name? Matthew Schaefer? No, Schneider. Was it Schneider or Schaefer? I can't remember, but from the Glendale Police Department, who tased Johnny Wheatcroft, tortured him in front of their kids in the private parts multiple times. Never saw jail time because the black robe tyrant behind the bench gave him deference. They wouldn't give it to you, but they gave it to him. This guy says, so we get it. Talking about me, talking about under the last video. You're not going to vote for Trump, so you're going to vote for the Ku Klux Klan then. See, people, that's why I call it the left versus right paradigm lie, because it actually puts a groove into people's minds and they can't see out of that groove. It's like the wagon wheels of their mind get stuck in this groove and they can't even if they saw that they were going over the cliff, they have no control over the horses. So the horses are going to keep going over the cliff and they can't veer off because they're in the rut. The left versus right paradigm, like, oh, if you're not voting for Trump, you must be voting for the Klan then. If you're not voting for Trump, then you're voting for Biden, one guy said in the last video. Well, he's the only president that lost money being president. All the others had huge net gains. Just don't cry when he's your future president, MAGA, Trump 2024. What part should I not cry about? The red flag laws? The fact that he befriends and respects known warmongers? Should I not cry about civil asset forfeiture being foisted on America and police being more indemnified and held guiltless than they are right now? Is that what I shouldn't cry about? Don't cry when Trump becomes the supreme being and the supreme overlord and the despot. Don't cry when the value of your dollar becomes even more devalued than it is now. Don't cry then. If Trump is for law and order, I'm good. Whose law? And what order? The New World Order? You know, the New World Order does have order to it. And they even call it order out of chaos. So who writes the laws? What is a law? When you are only given, listen to this childlike mentality. It's a childish, immature mentality. When you are only given two powers of evil to choose from, the only thing left is what level of evil you are willing to put up with. What if you're not willing to put up with any evil? What if you're willing to call out every evil? What if you don't vote for evil at all, which is completely voting for evil and feeling like you have to vote for evil and you have no other choice is extremely demoralizing. As a matter of fact, that's what demoralizing means. It means your morality has been removed. Your morality is so removed that you actually voted for a politician, and we all know that they are scum among human beings. Every one of them, scum. It's the only choice you've been given. No. It's not the only choice you've been given. And this guy that I quoted from the last one, unfreaking believable. I mean, I had a fourth grade, what was she? History teacher, English teacher? I think she was an English teacher. Yeah. She sharpened her pencils and we wrote on, Mrs. Dempsey in fourth grade. She said, now children, put on your thinking caps. I think that there's no such thing as thinking caps anymore. This guy goes, wow, I can't believe you doubled down. First, you bring politics to a basically non-political channel. Guys, we deal with law enforcement. Where do laws come from that the enforcers are going to enforce? What does that mean? It means we have a political class and we have a law enforcement class. And where do these laws come from? What are laws? The opinions of politicians who are part of a political class. If you're a 1A auditor or a 2A auditor or a 4A auditor, you have a political channel. Because you're dealing with people who are dealing with laws. That's law enforcers. How can you have an apolitical channel that deals with law enforcement and exposing the evils of law enforcement and the evils of the politicians' laws? I don't understand. Man, I'm just freaking hot, man. And it's not even a hot room. Then criticize both Democrats and Republicans. Looks like you just shot yourself in both feet. Good luck with your channel. I'm out. I got no room for the truth. See, this is so easy to do. You're crazy. You're an idiot. That's easy. But if you can prove to me how I'm an idiot, if you write a dissertation on everything wrong with the military industrial complex, and because I've been propagandized by the NFL, which is decidedly like the NFL is like a propaganda arm for the military industrial complex, just like CNN is. Every CNN, Faux News, MSNBC, they are all the propaganda arm for the military industrial complex, and they incessantly peddle their propaganda. It's public relations to put a good face on the military. So if I'm propagandized by that and you write a dissertation itemizing, pointing out every truth of why the military industrial complex is bad and why we should defund it and why it's just a matter of time before those troops are on our soil telling us what we should or shouldn't do, like the redcoats were, and you made point after point, good point after good point of truth, and I'm so immersed and indoctrinated by military industrial complex propaganda that I just reject your paper and call you a dumb arse. Well, that was easy. All I had to do was call him I didn't have to do any thinking. All I had to do was get offended. You offended my sensibilities. You tried to break down the barriers of my cognitive dissonance, and I just would not have it, you idiot. So easy to write something like this, and so much more difficult on so many levels to go, hey, you said this, but this is really the truth, and I'm bringing you the proof. I'm bringing you the receipts. So easy to do this stuff, and I see this all the time. This is the soil of idiocy. This is how people lock themselves in their own echo chambers. And they surround themselves by people who just regurgitate back what's agreeable to them. They don't want to be offended. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to take the difficult road and prove their assertions. You know, accusation without substantiation is still the height of ignorance. Just got a couple more for you. If you're hanging on, put a 1 in the room if you want me to keep going. I've got 6 more. I'm just going to try to blow through these. I'm going to try to do it quickly. This is why Democrats keep winning and take over. None of you understand that the political process is our best chance to try to hinder the progressive agenda. What part of they control every facet of the political program do you not understand? Trump is not perfect. He's no hero, not a fan of everything he does, but at least he's a thorn in the ass of what we deem the establishment. That is laughable. Passenger music. That is laughable. I'm not against you. I don't have any hard feelings against you, but my God, think about what you just said. What part of Trump is for red flag laws and against the Second Amendment do you not understand? We are not talking about a man attaining the level of perfection. We're not talking about the guy being a hero or not, or being a fan of everything he does. Do you realize when you support him, whether you want to support every single thing that you agree with and not support everything you disagree with? Do you realize when you get your guy into office, everything that you disagree with comes with him? In other words, he got into office if the voting process, there's a lot of layers to this, but they want you to believe that you have the power to vote and to affect some kind of positive change for your future by voting for your guy. Okay. That's the potency. That's the effectiveness of voting. It demoralizes you. You don't know you've been demoralized. You think you have all the power. You're a slave with a clean slate, and you gotta slip a paper that you're gonna put in slave suggestion box, even though you're gonna stay on the same plantation and you're gonna be owned by the same plantation owners because they own both parties. If you want to take a good look, a good metaphorical movie type look at this, look at the video that was put out by Larkin Rose, funded by Larkin Rose's people, called the Jones Plantation. It's a perfect example of what's actually going on. They control both sides, and they control you. They control your mind. That's what government is. A gouverno mentis, to control the mind, or mind control. So what part of he wants to federally protect all cops with a Kevlar vest of indemnity do you not understand? That is being part of the establishment. What part of telling the Federal Reserve and the Treasury to hyperinflate the currency so that you can come up with a $6.2 trillion stimulus package do you not understand is working as the establishment? That is a power and wealth transfer, transferring wealth and power from the American people to put it into the coffers of the military industrial complex, the big pharma industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, the educational industrial complex. This all politicians are the same, therefore will not partake BS is getting old. That's not BS. All politicians are the same. And if you partake in it, then you're the one that's been dehumanized and demoralized. There's more than ever at stake now. Stop bitching when more and more rights are taken away. You mean like your right to a fair trial under the Constitution that's constantly being trashed, specifically the Bill of Rights, under civil asset forfeiture? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, there's a lot at stake here. You are essentially voting against yourselves without voting. Brian seriously seems like a psyop himself sometimes, I swear. This is a psyop. It's a psychological operation. And the key to a successful psychological operation is it tries to get the person who's been psychologically operated on to let go of the truth and let go of reality. And that reality is all of politics is geared against you. It's like a field sobriety test for politics. If you think that taking the field sobriety test is going to clear your name in front of that cop, you better think again. There are cops who will have you not just take a field sobriety test, but blow triple zeros 8 times and still take you to jail. It's these people right here who are not in touch with reality. Sorry to say. But I'm the psyop. I'm the psyop. This person says, you're not the brightest, are you, bud? I think you should stick to police videos. Ever heard the phrase, stay in your lane? Truth and liberty and righteousness and doing what is right, regardless of what the lemming masses say. That's the right thing. No people will tamely surrender their liberties, nor can any be easily subdued. When knowledge is diffused and virtue is preserved. On the contrary, when people are universally ignorant and debauched in their manners, dehumanized, demoralized, they will sink under their own weight without the aid of foreign invaders. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the brightest one, but you don't have to be the brightest one. You don't have to be the sharpest knife in the drawer. You don't have to be the most useful tool in the tool shed. You just have to do what is right and be willing to stand by it. When everybody else says you need to be doing wrong with the rest of us, doing right will never be wrong, and doing wrong will never, ever be right. A lie will always be a lie, even if everybody believes it, and the truth will always be the truth, even if no one believes it. So no, I'm not the brightest. I would absolutely love to have a one-on-one private conversation with you, Brian. Here's the deal about so many hypocritical comments by you, and not only this video, but the vast majority of them. Let's just make it public. Just make it public. Pick out the hypocrisies that I'm involved in and that I'm peddling and itemize them under your thing. And I'll just do a live stream on it. Be specific. Be specific. Truth matters. If you're going to be found guilty of anything today, be found guilty of loving and holding fast to and super gluing yourself to the truth and holding on to your integrity. You cannot be a human being who has integrity when you're begging politicians to please be your savior and lighten your chains and lighten your load. What happened to give me liberty or give me death? What happened to that? Where's that spirit? Where is it? If you want the world to change, if change is to be, it's up to me. I got to change myself. And the change that I need to come into, and I got to do it real quick, is the change of holding fast to and loving the truth. Trump 2024, all I can say, we need a good person, not a politician in government. Well, Trump's not a good person. I don't know, Mike. I like take the guns first, due process second. That's the way we should go. Matter of fact, I like civil asset forfeiture, and we should indemnify every policeman in the land so they can be emboldened to do the things that they do, including civil asset forfeiture and taking people's guns away. Oh, and by the way, let's hyperinflate the currency, the M2 money supply, so that the time and laboring energies of every single American gets trashed and demolished and diminished to the where they have to get 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And let's increase the interest rates. Well, I know Trump was for lessening the interest rates and unleashing quantitative easing infinity. It's all a part of the plan, man. They're all working for the banksters. Give us your candidate or keep your head in the sand pretending the world will just get better. What is your solution? The solution, you want to see what the solution is? Here, let me show you. Let me show you what the solution is. I want you, it doesn't even require words. Let's just use a meme. Here's the solution. Look at that. That's the solution right now. That's the solution in all ages. Stop participating in this evil monopoly game. If there was a politician who was for you, the first thing that he would do that would get 100% popularity and support from everybody and nobody would say anything against it. He'd be the most popular president in the entire world with just one. You wouldn't even have to make it a law. You would just have to abolish a law. Get rid of the income tax. Two things. I'm going to get rid of the income tax and property tax. You no longer have to pay taxes on your property. You no longer have to pay taxes on your income. That would be the easiest, most popular thing to do, but Congress would not do it. Democrat, Republican, they would not be for it. The Federal Reserve would not be for it. Governors would not be for it. The president won't be for it. The IRS wouldn't be for it. You would actually obliterate the IRS in one fell swoop. You would get rid of the biggest domestic terror cell America has ever known. Have you ever asked yourself that question? If this guy is for me, then why wouldn't he eradicate a law that keeps me from keeping 100% of everything I go away from my family to earn? That's all you would have to do. You want to convince me that you're on my side? Eradicate the income tax and the property tax. Why wouldn't you do it? Why? There's only one reason. Because they're not working for Americans. Because they are politicians. They are parasitic entities. They are the worst among us. They're not even the bottom of the barrel. They're not inside the barrel. They're underneath the barrel, way down in the dirt. That's how scummy they are. David Meyer says, you lost my viewership. Sometimes I think I'm getting trolled, I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm getting trolled. Yeah, there you go. Mike Flynn says nobody for president. Exactly. Well, if you're gonna unsubscribe because I suggested that if a politician was truly for you, a president was truly for you, they get rid of the income tax and the property tax. There's nothing else can be said. So what's my solution? There you go. That's the beginning of my solution. Then we start with the alphabet soup agencies. We would definitely at the minimum get rid of civil asset forfeiture, wouldn't we? Background checks? What's going on here? Doesn't it say shall not be infringed? I run on the platform of shall not be infringed. But what about shall not be infringed? Don't you realize children's lives shall not be infringed? Do you mean to tell me you want criminals to shall not be infringed? Shall not be infringed. Is it so hard? Is it so? Can you just tell me what's so difficult about that? I don't even understand what could be possible. You got to hire somebody to make that difficult. Then what the hell do we do? Says C. Blanda. If we don't vote for Trump, someone way worse will be in office. Step off the plank. Step away. Stop giving them your ear. Stop giving them your attention. Stop giving them your resources. And step away from the game. Monopoly game over. Board closed. Chips and everything else starts flying. Fluffy Bunny Arsenal says, hell, I subbed again. Okay, guys. I thank you for being here. Let me just, I heard some dings, so let me see. Let me go to the super chats. Hopefully they're there. Viewer activity. Okay. So Space Miner says red team wants a police state. Blue team wants a bureaucratic state. I want a free state. If you mean by state of mind, I agree. I want to be free in my mind. I want to not be messed with. Am I saying that I want disorder and chaos and no rules for society? No. But at the very least, we got to get rid of Washington's District of Criminals. That's been the worst thing that has ever befallen America, if not all of humankind. What a cesspool of utter corruption and chaos and mayhem and war and wasteful spending, and the list goes on and on. Can we not all agree that we don't need Washington, D.C.? At least if you're going to have a government, decentralize it and take away a lot of its power, which is what's supposed to be what the Bill of Rights is supposed to do. It's supposed to limit, it's supposed to constrain the government's power, but somehow they've become more powerful. Space Miner also drops a super chat and says, "You're right, chat. Every man a free man." SWE Observer gifted 5 Here's the Deal memberships. Thank you again, SWE Observer. Hallelujah gifted 1 Here's the Deal membership. Rocky Road says Brian is one of the best. Hey, you know what? We're all the best. I'm just a cog in the wheel, man, and hopefully I'm helping this thing, propel forward. It's pretty discouraging. You guys have felt the discouragement, haven't you? It's like, man, I don't think I could have made that clearer. Why are people resisting giving somebody the key and telling them, look, I'm going to give you this key. This is the key to the lock on your cage. All you have to do is take the key and free yourself. I'll show you how to do it. I'll give you the instructions. I'll fashion the key in the furnace for you. So I make sure that it fits the lock and it caresses all the tumblers in the way that it should. But I can't put it in for you. I can't put it in the cage for you and unlock you. You have to do that yourself. And you give them everything. You give them the key. You give them the construction materials. You give them the instructions. You give them the encouragement to do it. And they'll still take that key and they'll look at it and they'll say, but Trump, but Biden, but Obama's going to save us. I'll just wait for my savior. Thank you. Me no comprende, amigo. I got not to speak the English. Rune Dragon has been a member for 2 months. Thank you, Ruin. Thank you to all the members. Thank you to everybody who subscribes on Patreon and Subscribestar and who watches these videos and likes them and shares them and buy the shirts and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you guys, none of this matters if we become a police state, which we kind of are right now, but it can get worse. It can get better too, and that's my hope. Like, I'm extremely optimistic most days. Today, I'm kind of wavering, man. I'll have optimism tomorrow, and I'll get out of this cruddy, dirtbag, dark hole that I've embroiled myself in by reading a whole bunch of comments that are just weighing me down. But holy cow, man. Just to realize that a large portion or a percentage, I don't know, a large portion, a percentage of my audience is on board with team I like take the gun first, due process second. Team Kissinger. Team Klaus Schwab. Team Hillary Clinton. That's what you're voting for when you're voting for Donald Trump. You're voting for Hillary Clinton continuing to roam free on this earth. Yeah, because if I was president, you'd be in jail. Well, you were president for 4 years and she never saw 1 second of jail. That kind of bothers me. Dark Matter has become a new member. Thank you, Dark. Sci-Fi Bride, the video guy, drops a super chat and says, I'm 54 and never voted. They're all corrupt liars. Frickin' men. Keynes is a clown drops a super chat and says, voters are the necessary idiots that legitimize the criminal ruling class. That was so good that I am going to read it again. 650 likes. Thanks, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, maybe we can get 50 more likes and hit 700 likes. Keynes is a clown says, and that's Maynard Keynes, by the way, opposite of Austrian economics. Voters are the necessary idiots that legitimize the criminal ruling class. Yes. Amen. Metal Mama Sue just became a member. Thank you, Mama. And Dark Matter dropped a super chat with no message attached to it. Oh, there is one more. Liberty Guy Off Grid dropped a super chat and said, "Hey, Brian, thanks for all you do. What are your thoughts on Dr. Shiva running for president? He called all politicians Zio, Cuck, S-U-C-K-R. I like a lot of things that Shiva says, and I talk to Crypto King a lot, and I've seen a lot of videos, and he is right down the line. There is something that I don't like about that guy. There's something that I don't like. He speaks a lot of truth. He calls out the fiat currency Ponzi scheme known as the Federal Reserve currency or the American dollar. He calls out the big pharma industrial complex, the military industrial complex, all politicians. He calls out the left versus right paradigm lie. There's a lot of things that I like about him, but I would never vote for him because I don't want to vote. I'm not going to vote. Joe says, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. If your 401k says one of these, go look in the mirror to see who's to blame for this mess. King Charles drops a super chat and says, MAGA is Latin for witch. Is that true? MAGA is Latin for... you know what? I'm going to put the face of Ron Paul up here. Oh, shoot. I got rid of Ron Paul. Oh, geez. I don't want Wayne LaPierre up there. Jeez. Oh, my gosh. Oh, what do I do? MAGA is Latin for witch? Let's look that up. Oh, shoot. Whoa, he's right. I did not know that. What in the world? Holy cow. None of us is greater than all of us. Hallelujah. You can learn something from everybody. Let me see. Oh, wait. Let me put this up here. Look at this. Get rid of Wayne LaPierre's face. MAGA. Holy mackerel. MAGA is Latin for witch. Or sorceress. Or pharmaceutia. What the heck? What the heck? Okay, wait. Okay. This is a live stream, so I'm just now looking at this. Never seen that. Never heard of this. MAGA, Latin for MAGA in English is witch, which is a noun, which is sorceress. MAGA, whatever this is, Venefica, Cantatrix, Pharmaceutia. I know Pharmakia is like sorcery. Pharmakia, which is that Latin or is it Greek? Pharmakia or Pharmakia, which appears in the book of Revelation. But isn't that interesting? Okay, so if MAGA means witch and Donald Trump calls himself on Fox News the father of the VAXX, and he enriched the coffers of the pharmaceutical industrial complex, and another word for MAGA is pharmaceutia, to me, that's pretty interesting. That's interesting indeed. Thank you very much for sharing that little nugget of truth. Holy mackerel. Yeah, Jenny Rose goes, holy crapola. Although I'm sure Jenny didn't say it like that. Gerald says, one of the things I especially like about you and your channel is that you like Jimmy Dore, call balls and strikes evenly. Jimmy Dore has just impressed the heck out of me in the last 2 years. He used to be with the Young Turks, and now he's like, what the heck? Jimmy Dore had a great awakening. Now, I'm not saying that Jimmy Dore's right about everything, but the things that I've seen him talk about lately, calling out the left and the right, pretty refreshing. Regardless of which party is at bat or doing the swinging. Amen. All right, so this is an hour and 13 minutes. I think that's enough. What does pharmaceutia mean? I don't know. What if we look that up? Let's see. Pharmaceutia. Wait, can I just click on that? Oh, wait, what? Let me just click on pharmaceutia. Well, let me just put it in a Google search. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin. it's like it's caressing all-time highs, guys. 67,589. Can you see that? If you look at this, I put a post out the other day. It's up 161% in the last 6 months. But if you look at the Cardano chart, where is it? Cardano. Cardano is up nearly 200% in the last 6 months, from an all-time 6-month low of 25 cents to now 77. And I think it got to 79 today. But yeah, if you got Cardano, Ethereum, anything like that, you know, congratulations. So let's look up this word and then we'll vamoose. Oh, whoa, what just happened? Oh man, did I not copy that off? Where is it? Where is it? What? Shoot. Let's see. Pharmaceutria. Latin definition for pharmaceutria. I would say it goes back to sorceress or witch or whatever. Gender feminine. I would say it's like sorcery, witchcraft, or whatever. But isn't that interesting that MAGA is witch or sorcery, and it's hooked up with the word that we get pharmaceuticals from? That's pretty interesting. I love etymology. All right, let's get back to... All right, guys, thanks for being here. 731 likes. Thank you very much. Let's see. Let's put this over here. Let's put that on the screen there. We'll end it with this right here. Okay, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. If you want to donate to the cause, all the links are in the description there. But you know what? The biggest thing you can do is free. Just give this video a like, share it with everybody you know. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys are my smelling salts of reality. If I ever say something that is wrong, correct me. You know, I'm open to that. Only a fool would be uncorrected. And, you know, again, accusation without substantiation is the height of ignorance. It's definitely easy to do that, but it's certainly shallow. Okay, guys, I will see you guys in the next heavily censored Shadowban live stream. If you want, binge watch some of my most popular videos because my views are way, way down.